Guess what? It's Thursday, and I'm your bitch of the day for Queens of the Week. It is Katana's week here at Queens of the Week, and we are doing a theme asked of her by one of her fans on Tumblr. And the question was, tell me of your first drag experiences, like the first time you did drag, the first time first. And that's funny for me because I actually have a lot of drag firsts. For example, the first time I ever did drag, it was not something I wanted to do. It was something I was forced to do, dared to do, Yeah, a friend of mine was a drag queen, and we'd be hanging out, and, like, you know, music would be on, and I'd be, like, you know, pretending to perform. He's like, you have a really good lip sync. You should be a drag queen. I'm like, no, I don't want to do drag. I don't want to do drag. And he's like, well, you're a makeup artist. You should drag. I'm like, no, I don't want to do drag. I don't want to drag. He's like, well, you're a hairstylist. You should drag. I'm like, no, I don't want to do drag. I don't want to do drag. And then finally, I guess he saw the calling in me and was like, look, if, I don't remember what it was some stupid bet, and he was like, or she was like, if you win, I'll do whatever you want, but if you lose, you have to do drag for Halloween. And I lost. And so I had to do drag for Halloween, and it was horrible. I was so bitter. I really didn't put any preparation into it. I went to some flea market and bought some stupid, crappy, ugly wig. Although when I was wearing it, I felt like Pretty Woman. It was like curly-ish. I went downstairs to one of my neighbors. It was a straight couple, and they were both heavy. And so I borrowed a shirt from her, like a cowboy denim black shirt with like big rhinestones on it, and real country redneck, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I went to like a flea market or a thrift store or something and got a crinoline. So literally my costume was a Julia Roberts brownish reddish wig, black blue jean denim with rhinestones, and a black crinoline. And this drag queen named Erica Shea did my makeup for me. And we were 2 hours late to the event or the party or whatever because I couldn't stop staring at myself. I was like, oh my god, I'm a really pretty girl. Which is funny because if you look back at those pictures, I wasn't pretty. At all. So, yeah, I did drag. That was the first time I ever did drag. It was really uncomfortable. It was painful because her gig was, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. So she taped my balls, she taped my boobs. Even though I didn't even show cleavage, I was still taped. I think she wanted to show me all the effort that she put into it for her profession. So I was duct taped here and here. I was wearing high heels. I couldn't sit down. Literally, I was in pain. I couldn't pee. I looked like a hot mess, but I felt beautiful and thought I should have won the contest. It was horrible. And I was like, I'm never doing this again, ever. And then I did it again for Halloween in '99. And then I think that's when I was like, I want to do this. So I did it a couple times in Oklahoma, like for charity events, like running around doing special bookings. Katia put me in her show a couple times in New Age Renegades. I was in her show a couple times at Silver Star. Maybe 10 times at the most in the whole year of 1999. And then I quit drag completely, and I moved to Naples, Florida with some guy I met on AOL chat room, relationship M for M. Some independently wealthy guy, and I was moving for the fairy tale and the Pretty Princess in a Castle gig, and he wanted the masculine. He was like anti-feminine and wanted me to be very butch, and I didn't do drag at all. It was a very horrible, destructive, abusive relationship, and I was very suicidal. But when we broke up, we didn't even break up, in the middle of the night, I left. He came home drunk. He cheated on me so many times. And one night he was out with some trick or whatever and came back trashed. And he passed out and I moved out. Slept in my car for a couple days and just gone. Didn't tell him where I was going, no forwarding address, nothing. So I had the desire to do it again, and I was in Naples, Florida, and there was a big benefit for a queen in Fort Lauderdale who was unfortunately dying. She was AIDS, HIV complications. Her name was Dana Manchester, and huge community superstar in Fort Lauderdale. And I did her benefit in Naples. And at the time, I was a Versace makeup artist, and I waited tables at Chili's. So I invited all the customers and friends and co-workers from Versace and all of the makeup counters and girls, and then I invited all the wait staff and customers and friends and cooks of Chili's to the show. So it's funny because this was like my first real performance, and they were gagging, like, because I was their friend. It wasn't because I was amazing, it was because I was their friend. Now, meanwhile, famous pageant queens from all over Florida came down. Danielle Hunter, Champagne Bordeaux, Erica Norell, Electra, Nikki Adams, all these people I'd never even heard of, and now they're my friends, but they were at this benefit. And Electra was the MC, who is a famous, amazing character illusionist, and she was doing Bette Midler, and she was like, this next entertainer will dazzle and mystify your eyes. She's Misty Eyez. So I came out, and I probably made more than 4 girls before me made in one number. There was money all over the stage, but again, there's no real drag in Naples. So all these amazing and fierce entertainers that were nation, or at least statewide famous in Florida, were coming to Naples to perform. However, I'm the only local girl. I'm the only non-professional drag queen, and I'm the only one that banked the house down because I invited everyone from my boy jobs, Versace and Chili's, to come support me. So when I performed, Electra was like, oh, I don't know this bitch, but whatever, she'll dazzle and mystify you, it's Misty Eyez. And then when I got done performing, there was money everywhere. And because a lot of the locals were like, oh, I recognize him, blah, blah, blah. Let me support him. And Electra was like, I think I still have it on VHS somewhere. Electra was like, who is this bitch? Like, looking at the floor, like, she made 10 times more money than me. Who is this hoe? You know, I don't know if she watched me perform or not. I mean, my lip sync was really good, but I was not a polished entertainer by any means. It was like, you know, newbie. But from that, I think there was a lot of people freaking out, and they were noticing that the stage was covered in money, like just thrown, just, you know, they spent, you know, 5 minutes cleaning it up. So the show director there was like, oh my God, Misty, there's a pageant coming up in 2 weeks called Miss Florida Continental. It's prelim to Miss Continental. You should do it. I'll sponsor you. And by sponsor you, he meant he was going to pay my entrance fee to the pageant, which was like $150. That's it. So he's like, you should do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, of course, looking at all these national and local title holders, I thought you had to be a title holder to be anything. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go start entering pageants. I was rotted. I bought dresses at Dillard's and thought I was amazing. But by the way, I'm a 6'1", 2/1.5" guy, and I'm buying dresses for like 5, 8, 10 girls, and they went up to my ankles and not. You know, for a beauty pageant, your gown needs to be custom made, unless you're fortunate enough to be the perfect height as a woman with heels on that it touches the floor. So I did not place very well at all. I did very well in interview, and that's it. So I got very discouraged, and I quit drag again. I was like, obviously I suck ass, and I don't want to do drag anymore. But I also started to hate Naples. And Fort Lauderdale was where all the gay bars and the gay people were. So if I was going to find a boyfriend or anything, it would definitely not be in Naples. The only guys I were dating there were, you know, closeted ministers or people. So I ended up moving shortly after 9/11. And I would say in the year 2003, I started doing drag again. And to me, this is when I really officially started, because that's when it was no longer really a hobby. it was like, this is what I want to do. Because I would like, in 2003, I did drag a couple times at a little bar called Trixie's in Hollywood. And they were very impressed with me or whatever, and they were like, why don't you do Tuesday nights? And they gave me my own Tuesday night gig. And yeah, I took it and ran. So starting in the year 2003, basically I've been doing drag at least once a week, every week since the year 2003. And it was, you know, it's funny because drag is the one job that if you don't have the passion for it, if you don't have the desire for it, you'll never make it, because you're not going to make money for the first several years you do drag. It's all spending money. You know, everything costs money. Your makeup, your hair, your clothes. And if you're not making money, it's really hard to spend money. So you need a really good boy job to support your drag habit. And yeah, so my boy job had to pay all my bills and all my drag. And I started doing drag once a week, every Tuesday at Trixie's. And it was a job that paid crap. And it's funny because looking back, I would never take this job now, but I had such a heart and such a desire. I was like, yes, I'll take anything. Basically, it was my night on Tuesdays. It was me by myself, or whoever I could talk into doing it for free, because there was no money for a budget. There was no budget, or whoever I could talk into doing it for free, because there was no budget for a show. So it was me as the MC, and whoever else I could get to do it for free. And sometimes it was just me and one other girl, and sometimes it was me and 3 or 4 other girls. But it was usually just me and one girl, and that means we had to do shows from 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. Now, the more girls there were, then the longer the breaks between your songs. So what I would do is, if it was just me and another girl, I would do 2 songs in one dress, and then I'd walk around and talk, and she'd do 2 songs in one dress, and then I would welcome me back to stage and do 2 songs in one dress, walk around and talk, and then her, and we would rotate all night long. Now, the bar started to get really busy, and before long, there'd be, you know, in a couple years, there'd be like, you know, 8 girls or 9 girls working, and, you know, you'd only have to perform 5 times a night. But when there's only 2 girls, you're performing 12 songs a night. It was very, very hard. And I think I got $50 to MC the show, which basically paid for 1 wig. So yeah, I look back and laugh, but they're the first job to give me my start. My first real drag job was a bar called Elements. They actually paid me really well, and I was there every Sunday night MC. And I would do Sunday nights there and Tuesday nights at Trixie's for a while, but then Elements started hiring me for more and more nights. So I eventually quit Trixie's, which was good because it kind of turned into a tranny escort bar, where instead of it being like a gay show bar, it turned into a straight man's bar, picking out lap dances and escorts to take home. And that's definitely not my gig. I've always been very political and very public about my career, not really looking to be, you know, so I was like, bye. Meanwhile, I'm getting paid real money to do a real show. Why am I doing, you know, 12 songs for $50? It was just too exhausting for me. After a couple of years, it was really easy for me to quit. But I started working at Elements in Fort Lauderdale, which is the big gay city. Hollywood was very trailer trash. And I was like, oh, I'm finally in the gay part of town, which is Wilton Manors, which is where I wanted to be anyway. And I eventually started working there every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, and every Friday. I was off on Saturdays because it was lesbian night, and then I'd be back on Sundays. So meanwhile, and by the year 2005, I was doing drag 6 nights a week, and then there's a club that opened, and I started working there on Saturdays. So literally in the year 2005-06, I was in drag 7 nights a week, and that is when drag became my full-time job. Started. I don't know any other first to tell you. Oh, that's my first. I hope that answered the question. So now I'll address the queens of the week. Monday was nobody. Tuesday was